Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
But St. James was an underground railroad stop on the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman taught Sunday school from the church annex. The very pulpit that I preach from every Sunday, Frederick Douglass pronounced a preach and a sermon from that very pulpit. And also for those of us who are affiliated with the Greek organizations, I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. The conversation for the fraternity to begin took place in the basement of my church. And had that conversation not taken place, there will not be any other organizations under the Divine Nine. So let's give a hand clap for history. Before we begin, it would only be befitting that we open in prayer. And if you ask me why are we opening in prayer, well, if you understand the story of slavery and the songs and the culture of our people, it was through prayer that got them over. The songs that we sing, the poems that we recite are nothing more than New Testament prayers of how they got over. So at this time, if everyone could just bow your heads for a brief moment of prayer. Eternal God, we thank you for this day. And most of all, we thank you for this celebration. And even as we are assigned to this moment, we thank you for the shoulders of the ancestors that stand before us, that we stand on today. Now, whatever be done today in celebration of that, let it be pleasing in thy sight, so that we will forever be mindful and understanding that although this is the first celebration, we shall celebrate as we walk to the cars. We shall celebrate as we go to our households, and we shall celebrate as we work from day to day to day. Because we're only here because of the residue of the people before us. Let us say amen, amen, and amen. At this time, I'm going to bring up my co-host, my co-MC, in the person of Lima. And let's give her a hand clap as she will lead us in the next portion of this program.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome, and let's give a hand clap for the first annual Juneteenth once again in Cortland, New York. So once again, my name is Lima Stafford. I'm currently the Assistant Director for Multicultural Life and Diversity at SUNY Cortland. I'm also a proud SUNY Cortland alum. I can't believe I've been here 13 years now as a student and now currently working at the institution. I'm originally from Grenada in the Caribbean, if you do hear accents, and I moved to Brooklyn, New York, and found my way to Cortland somehow. Big up Brooklyn. Yeah, so I want to, a little bit more about myself. I am a part of the YWCA in terms of the advocacy committee, and I was a big part of bringing our C4, our Cortland County community of color, who's a big part of putting this event on today. So I'm really excited about that. So I want to thank our co-sponsors for today, SUNY Cortland, of course, Tompkins Cortland Community College, the City of Cortland, our Funflix indoor and outdoor movies, and I also want to thank Squeeze Juice Bar, Darius over there working hard. If you didn't try the smoothie yet, you're missing out. He's located on Main Street, but we'll be moving soon, right down the street on Main Street. Cultivate from Ithaca, the food. Make sure you try the food on the back. Gene is here also from Art Temple over here. I know the rain kind of messing things up, but he's here if you want to check out his art. He's also on Main Street. And lastly, I definitely want to thank Steve Williams. He's still working hard back there from High Key Science. So if your kid's able to check out some of the things we have back there, that will be great. And overall, I just want to thank all of you for showing up. There's so many of you, even though it's raining right now, and I feel really good about our first event. So thank you once again. All right, so without further ado, I want to introduce the committee, the Cortland County Community of Color. We go by C4, Like I said, I'm also a part of the committee. I'm just going to call the names. You're just going to wave really quick for the committee members. And then I'm going to invite the co-chair to come share a little bit of words with you. So myself. Okay. So myself, Seth Thompson from Tompkins, Cortland. Lorraine Lopez. Oh, she's right over here. Regina Grantham, she was at the table, or she's in the back over there. Thomas Mitch. So Mitch is right here to my left. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the co-chairs, Tim Thompson and Carmen Wingard. Thank you.
So, before I jump into my spiel, I must say, I've never experienced anything like this in Cortland County. We pulled this in together. We did this together, and I think that deserves a hand. So, good evening. My name is Tim Thompson. I'm the co-chair for the Cortland County Community of Color Group, informally known as C4. I serve as the coordinator of diversity, education, and support services at Tompkins Cortland Community College, and I'm a very proud member of the first intercollegiate African American fraternity, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Welcome and thank you for joining us in the first ever Juneteenth celebration in Cortland County. It's an honor to share this space with you all. Today I want to briefly talk about C4 and its purpose. C4 is a collaboration between Tompkins Cortland Community College and SUNY Cortland, as a few professionals of color from each of the institutions observed a very interesting phenomenon. Many folks of color come to the area, get their educations, and leave. Other folks of color come to the area, get a job for a few years, and leave. And then there are folks of color who've been around the entire time, or moved here and decided to stick around, but didn't have many outlets to engage with other people of color. You know what those groups have in common? They never got the opportunity to know each other, which implies no social network, which really means no community. And friends, if we don't have community, then we don't have anything at all. Now I can't speak to you. I can't speak for you. But at C4, we find this to be unacceptable. Our mission is to retain, promote, empower, and empower professionals of color in Cortland County. So I'm aware that this may present as a challenging objective, but in the spirit of Juneteenth, I can't think of much that we can't overcome. So with that, I'd like to share a poem that I recite to myself during difficult times and times that require the utmost resilience. And that poem is The Invictus by Mr. William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of ruth and tears looms but the hardest shade, and yet the midst of the years find and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me in the back? Do I sound okay in the back? All right, thank you. My name's Carmen Wingard. I'm a senior advisor at SUNY Cortland. Not going to take up too much time because we have some great speakers here to talk to you about Juneteenth and some of their experiences within the Cortland community. So I want to take some time just to talk about C4 and how C4 is for me. Okay. I moved to Cortland in 2008. Came from Buffalo, New York. And when I first came to Cortland, I realized one very distinct thing. There weren't a lot of people that looked like me. Right? So when I got here, I searched for a community, searched for people that looked like me, that can identify with myself, but more so that I can develop relationships and friendships and bonds with. I didn't find that right away. It took some time, and finally now I can say I've established some good relationships with people around here. So C4, for me, is really for this moment that we see today. It took me 13 years to find a community, to find a sense of belonging in Cortland community. It's taken one day, and I feel very special about this, it's taken one day for all of us to come out here and support one another. So I'd like to, first of all, thank all of you and give yourself a round of applause for being here. And I'll leave you with this, as co-chair of C4.
No, I'm good. I can hold it for a
We
little
put
while.
on a lot of different events throughout the year. Obviously, COVID kind of slowed down the momentum, but we have a lot planned in store for the next few years to come. But I will leave you with this. Today, we're here celebrating Juneteenth. It's a great turnout. And again, I want to thank all of you. We're here despite the rain, despite it being Saturday, despite NBA playoffs. All right, you decided to come out and share this moment with us. But it doesn't have to stop today. We can celebrate diversity. We can celebrate one another. We can congregate. We can come together. We can collectively support one another every single day. So today is a great event, and we're all going to be in good spirits and good moods. But I encourage all of you, everyone here, to find a way to support one another, find a way to support diversity in our Cortland community every day. Every day. So, once again, enjoy the smoothies, enjoy the food, enjoy your evening. God bless.
All right, just want to make sure we are family here, right? If we could just come in just a little bit closer, we want to make sure those who want to come in can have an opportunity to get in from the rain. If you feel the rain on your back, yep, just come in a little bit closer. Just come in a little bit closer. There we go. I just want to check the temperature for this next part. I just want to see who we have in the house. If you're from Cortland, make some noise. If you're from New York State, make some noise. If you're from out of state, make some noise. Anybody from the West Indies, make some noise. All right, just want to check that we're all family here. So before we continue and we greet with the next speaker, I want to make sure we really understand what is Juneteenth. Juneteenth, and I'm going to give you an abbreviated version, but it's your job and your task to go home to do your own research. But Juneteenth was a result of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by Abraham Lincoln on January 1st of 1863. He emancipated slavery for the country and those in the Union. But it wasn't until almost 2 years later that it was given word, or we were known about it for what we call a population in Galveston, Texas, that they themselves were also free. And if you be particular about that time in 1865, it wasn't until the 13th Amendment came to be that it solidified what we now know as slavery being abolished. But most importantly, something that people overlook when it comes to Juneteenth, yes, we can celebrate the fact that it's a federal holiday. Yes, we can celebrate the fact that we've come a mighty long way from where we once was. But if you read the 13th Amendment, there's a clause in it that I think we need to understand. And it says absolute equality. Absolute equality. So although we are celebrating today, the fight must still go on to maintain that everybody under the sound of my voice has absolute equality. Amen? Amen. At this time, we're going to receive our next speaker. He is in the person of Dr. Eric Bitterbaum. He's the president of SUNY Cortland. Let's give it up for the president of SUNY Cortland. Dr. Bitterbaum is going to come before us. Again, he's the president of SUNY Cortland since 2003. And Dr. Bitterbaum's commitment to diversity is reflected by the growth students from underrepresented groups has roughly been increased under his leadership from 4% of student population to what is now 25% as of 2017. So we're going to receive Dr. Bitterbaum to say, "Speak, Doc."
So thank you very much. So I did write out some notes. So a new tradition that we have started before any college function is to acknowledge the land we occupy today at Cortland as the home of the Iroquois, the people of the Longhouse, and in particular the Onondaga Nation, whose 2005 land rights action includes the land on which our institution resides. We take this opportunity to thank the original occupants of this place for their historical and continued stewardship. Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day or Jubilee Day, is rooted in emancipation for the enslaved. So it involves both the celebration of joy and the commemoration of pain. June 19, 1865 marks the anniversary of the day when Major General Gordon Granger announced the end of slavery in Galveston, Texas, in concordance with President Abraham Lincoln's 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. Nearly 2 years after the proclamation has been issued, African Americans, beginning in Texas, have celebrated the holiday since 1866. In 1980, Juneteenth became a Texas state holiday, and in the decades since, every state but one came to officially commemorate Juneteenth, but only a handful of states observed it as a paid holiday, New York being one. However, earlier this week, the United States Senate and the House passed a resolution establishing June 19th forevermore as Juneteenth National Independence Day, a U.S. holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. Of course, as you know, on Thursday, the bill went to the President of the United States, who signed it. And so it became the first federal holiday added to the U.S. calendar since 1983. And if you remember, that it celebrates Martin Luther King Jr., I think he'd be very proud to know that this day came about. So the grief and outrage following the murders of black citizens has brought the holiday of Juneteenth to a new prominence in the United States. Historians, especially at my college, point out that this day of commemoration retells the story of black people, their ongoing struggle in a nation that has forgotten the afterlife of slavery. Jim Crow laws, segregated schools, ongoing oppression, and the challenges of having full and equal citizenship through the 19th and 20th century. Today, Juneteenth allows us to examine the roots of racial inequality and injustice, and to hopefully eradicate racial inequality in all of our communities. At SUNY Cortland, we have a strong belief through our shared commitment to open and honest interaction that we will see the whole truth of what is happening in America. Juneteenth allows us to have candid conversations and to create platforms to have difficult dialogues around these oppressive histories of generational deprivation of black people and other individuals of color. We will still need to grapple with issues of racial injustice, but it can lead to momentous change. Like Martin Luther King Jr., I am hopeful for the future and America's great promise of where we can respect each other's humanity through compassion, kindness, charity, and even love. Thank you.
Take this along and say something. Take it.
Thank you, Dr. Bitterbaum. We still have room, so folks can keep coming in closer to make sure that we have space for everyone today. Let's give it up for our president once again of SUNY Cortland. You see this man everywhere, at every event. Our students really appreciate his support. I have the honor of introducing this next person. It's kind of funny because I met her today, but we've been meeting for the whole year because of COVID. We haven't met in person. So I have the honor to introduce our Chief Diversity Officer and Inclusion Officer at SUNY Cortland, Lorraine Lopez Genove. Lorraine leads and supports the university's effort to promote diversity and inclusion excellence throughout the institution. Thank you, Lorraine.
No, I'm good. Good. I can multitask.
Not only have I met Leva, but I've met so many people today that I've met in little squares on my computer throughout the whole year. So, listen, I'm really excited about all of this. I don't know about you, but look around, and look at how many people are here. This is amazing. When we planned this maybe like 3-4 weeks ago. It wasn't a long, we didn't do like a whole year of planning. About 4 weeks ago, somebody got the idea, why don't we celebrate Juneteenth? Let's do something. But it was like small scale. So we were thinking of doing something on campus, whether it was at SUNY Cortland or at TC3. But then Brian Tobin, your mayor, our mayor, got wind that we were planning this. He says, why don't we do something county-wide, city-wide? And we said, okay, fine. And here we are. When they said, well, we're probably going to get around 200 people, I didn't want to discourage them, but I thought to myself, 200? Are they kidding? There'll probably be about 50 or 100 people because we just started planning it. But again, you all showed up, right? It's like they say, build it and they will come. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. I'm not going to talk about Juneteenth too much because Eric already talked, and Orinthia, the president of TC3, I'm sure is going to mention some more. But what I do want to focus on are two things. One is, we're celebrating Juneteenth in Cortland publicly for the first time, but black folks have been celebrating Juneteenth for 155 years. At that first anniversary in 1866, a year after, they started celebrating it. And not only were they celebrating, but they got to work. Here's a group of enslaved people for over 100, 400, 200 years, whatever it was, the amount of years that they were enslaved, they got to work. They started rebuilding their families. They started reuniting families. They started building schools. They started getting into politics in order to change more laws. So black folks have been involved in changing and doing the best for their communities. There's one woman that I was reading about recently. I don't know how many of you have heard of Miss Opal Lee? Opal Lee, she's 94 years old. Opal Lee made it her life mission to make Juneteenth a national holiday. She ended up walking 1,400 miles in order to bring attention to Juneteenth. And she finally did it. She was a person in the room with Biden and the others as he was signing it. So let's hear it for her. Our 94-year-old grandmother of Juneteenth is her name. It's the name that's given to her. The other thing that I want to highlight is, as Eric pointed out, So even though we're celebrating Juneteenth and we're super excited, there's so much more work to be done. So today we celebrate, today we rejoice, but tomorrow let's rededicate ourselves to justice. Let's rededicate ourselves to, eliminating bias, eliminating all the gaps, the disparities that exist in education, incarceration rates, wealth, health, you name it. So let's make sure that we do that. The last thing that I want to do, and I need Seth to come up here and help me out with this. Seth is the chief, he's going to talk later. He's the chief diversity officer at TC3. What is he helping me with? So Seth and I are part of C4, right? You already heard what C4 is. But I have to say that the committee put in so much work to make this happen that I feel that we should give them something, don't you? Yeah, so we have, here, you can give them something. So we're going to call up the co-chairs, Tim Thompson, we're going to call up Carmen, and there's a little, this is just, they do the work regardless because they're fiercely committed to this work. But this is just to acknowledge the work. So this is for Tim. Here comes Carmen. Regina, can you get somebody to man the table? Oh, you know what? As a chief diversity officer, that's not a good word. To man the table. No. Can you get somebody to take care of the table? Where's Regina? Yes, I do. And we have one for Lima. And there should be one more, right? Left in there. So, there's one person that's not on the committee. But if it wouldn't have been for this person, I think there would have been a lot of snags, a lot of things that we would not have gotten done. This person is so full of energy that sometimes I want to say, calm down a little bit. But Tim Bennett is amazing. So, we have a little something for Tim because Tim just helped us out from day one all the way till now. Thank you so much. We love you, Tim. Is Regina coming up? Oh, there she is. Tom Mitchell. Where is Tom? He's right here. He's right here. Tom is part of C4 as well. So that's all I have. Continue enjoying yourself. Thank you so very much.
All right, we're going to keep this show rolling. We know you're standing, so we want to make sure that we respect your time. At this time, we're going to get ready for Bruce Teitler. He's a City of Cortland Council member, and Bruce previously served one term as the mayor of Cortland, and he is currently a Tompkins Cortland Community College Board of Trustees member. At this time, we're going to receive Bruce Teitler. Let's give him a hand of applause.
Well, thank you very much. And it's an honor to be asked to speak to this occasion. Welcome everybody to our first Juneteenth Education Celebration Day. And I have to say, before I go too far, I did promise Seth I'd obey the 3 B's of public speaking. I would be concise, I would be articulate, and I would be seated. So I'll try to live by that. I would like to say, though, when I came in, the vibe that I got, the joyous vibe I got walking across the park was incredible. People seeing each other and hugging, and there was a lot of strangers, people I don't even know. So I'd like to take a second and ask everybody, if you don't know the person next to you, take a second and introduce yourself. So now we all know at least one more person than we knew before we came in today, and that's a good thing. This festival, well, not really a festival, this day, Juneteenth Day, is a national holiday. To me, it's having a ripple effect, like a stone cast upon a pool of water.
Come on, y'all, we're gonna go back. Go ahead.
Well, it was my fault. I got everybody distracted by trying to introduce and then they want to have a conversation. Nothing wrong with that. So it has a ripple effect, at least for me, and that I wanted to learn more about the day. I knew the day historically, but there was a lot I didn't know. And then I also was asked to speak about a small college that once was located here that most people didn't know about, and it inspired me to learn more about that college. And that college was called the New York Central College. It was located in McGraw at a time that McGraw was known as McGrawville. So sometimes you might hear it as McGrawville College. The thing about this college is that it was started by the American Baptist Free Mission Society. And that group had the idea and their ideals that the troubles America was facing in the 1840s could be solved if more people had a formal education. So they founded this college, New York Central College, in McGraw, on a hill where the high school is now, with the ideals of everybody could come and get an education. It's the first college in America that was integrated and co-ed from day one in 1849. Over 1,000 students came through those doors of that college. I couldn't find out how many graduated, but I can't help but think even if they were only there for one semester, they were better off for having been there. It had a sort of a high school, they called it primary high school section, and then it had the college section. The college curriculum was what you would expect for 1849, Greek, German, Latin, history, math, physics, literature, physical labor. There was a belief back then that a little farm work never hurt anybody, so all the students had to do some kind of chores on the farm as well. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the people that I came across as I was reading. One of the men, and I didn't know who these people were, we all should know who they are. These are incredible people. One man was named Charles Reason. He was the first black professor hired by an integrated college at New York Central College in McGraw. And this man eventually went on to lead a very successful effort to integrate New York City public schools. And then there was George Vachon. This guy was truly amazing. Anybody ever hear of George Vachon? Raise your hand if you've heard of George Vachon. He was the first black man to get a BA at Oberlin College. He went on and got a master's. He went to Pennsylvania and studied law. Pennsylvania wouldn't let him practice law because of the color of his skin. So he came to New York. In 1848, he passed the bar, was allowed to practice law. He was eventually admitted to practice in front of the Supreme Court with the very same credentials that Pennsylvania denied him. And when he was hired as a professor here at New York Central College, he taught Latin and literature. What a powerful mind. I would have liked to have met that man. There was a student that came through. Her name was Grace Mapps. And she was the first black woman to graduate from a four-year college when she graduated from the New York Central College from McGraw. First person ever to do that. A woman, black woman. And she went on to a very distinguished career in public education in Philadelphia. So it sort of strikes me that this little college, at least unofficially, was a bit of a teacher's college as well, which I found very interesting. Probably one of my favorite individuals I've read about so far is a woman by the name of Mary Lewis. Just a regular plain-sounding name. She was a very accomplished sculptor. Some of her sculptures are in the Smithsonian Art History Museum. And she was able to attend a college for only 3 years, and then they asked her to leave because she was wild. That was a quote. She was wild. It's always the artist. Always the artist. So she went on to Oberlin, where she got her degree, But she experienced so much racism there, and she's completely disillusioned with the whole idea of what Oberlin College stood for. She went to Boston, fine-tuned her sculpting skills, was also disappointed with the environment. She moved to Rome, Italy, where she spent most of her adult life living her best life in an environment we can only presume was much more friendly because she stayed there. This was a very, very interesting woman. Now, we're coming up on the end. I was expecting a little light. The college, the finances of the college were never solid to begin with. They were never given the money they had been promised by different groups. They had never received any money from New York State. Some people didn't agree with the ideals of the college. In the early 1850s, they had a smallpox epidemic, which disrupted the learning process. They had about 100 students at the time, and half of them went home, and many of them didn't return that particular year. They sort of had a reputation of that smallpox college. So, of all those things, those perfect negative storm events, I guess, coming together, the last class of New York Central College came through and was given their diploma in 1861. And they closed their doors. They sold it several years later to a couple of fellows for $500, which is about $2,700 in today's money. It was demolished and soon forgotten by just about everybody. And that concludes my remarks about a little tiny college in upstate New York that had big ideals, very progressive thought, and for a little while really was a source of inspiration for many people. New York Central College in McGraw. Thank you. Now, I have to say that if you want to learn more about this college, I would suggest you go to the McGraw Historical Society, the McGraw Library, thank you, the Cortland Historical Society, our own Living History Museum, and Google a video that was produced by the McGraw Historical Society, our very own Sharon Stevens, and our very own Melanie Arnold, and that video is called New York Central College, A Beacon on the Hill. And it's a really good place to start. So thank you for listening, and again, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bruce. We appreciate it. I did want to share really quick to shout out our current mayor, Brian Tobin. He wanted to send his love. He couldn't be here today, but we really appreciate Bruce coming in to share some words with us today. Has folks tried the smoothies yet? Yes. Have you tried Cultivar, the food? And it's good? All right. If you have not yet, make your way over, try some smoothies, and try some of the food over there. You don't want to miss out. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce the next speaker. She's currently the Director of Development at the YWCA Cortland. She's been a part of the YWCA for about a little bit over 2 years, and she was a part of the nonprofit world for about 8 years. So, Robin Hayes, please, let's welcome Robin to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. I am here on behalf of Kelly Tobin, the Executive Director of YWCA Cortland. On behalf of the board, staff, volunteers, and supporters of YWCA Cortland, I want to thank the Cortland County Community of Color for inviting us to speak. We are honored to be here. Today, as we celebrate Juneteenth, we take a look back at the progress made toward racial justice in America, and a look forward at the work that remains until we are all truly free. As Reverend King said, we have a federal holiday, but there's much to be done. At YWCA, we are on a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, stand up for social justice, help families, and strengthen communities. YWCA is one of the nation's largest women's organizations, serving over 2 million women, girls, and their families through a network of over 200 local YWCA associations, 20 of which are in our very own state. So 10% of them are located in New York State, which is fantastic. YWCA Cortland has been anticipating and addressing community needs since 1914. Nationally, YWCA has been at the forefront of the most pressing social movements for more than 160 years, from voting rights to civil rights, from affordable housing to pay equity, from violence prevention to healthcare reform. Today, it combines programming and advocacy in order to generate institutional change in 3 key areas: racial justice and civil rights, empowerment and economic advancement of women and girls, and health and safety of women and girls. So every day we get up and do the work of justice in the Cortland area and in more than 1,000 communities, big and small, all across the country. Since justice looks different in every community, our work does too. Locally, YWCA Cortland provides free, comprehensive, and confidential services through the Aid to Victims of Violence program to women and men and their children seeking safer lives. We take care of children so their families can work and build brighter futures for them. We offer wellness and health and fitness programming that strengthens bodies, hearts, and minds. We deliver mentoring services that improve confidence and self-esteem in our community's youth. And we tackle racism and inequality and advocate for girls and women because the future deserves all of us. But we don't do it alone. Our power comes from the almost 3,000 members of our community that we serve annually. And it comes from you, bold, passionate supporters who are equally committed to our work to promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Juneteenth is a time for celebration, a time for reflection, and a time for recommitting to the work of racial justice. We stand in solidarity today and every day as we continue to move forward a critical component of YWCA's mission, eliminating racism. We hope you will join us. With your support, we will get up and do the work tirelessly until the world sees women, girls, and people of color the way we do. Equal, powerful, unstoppable. Thank you.
All right, we're going to keep this show going, but I just want to again check and see who we have here. Anybody respect the zodiac signs? Do we have any Aries in the building? What about a Taurus? If you're a Taurus, make some noise. What about Geminis? What about Leos? Any Leos? All right, what about Cancers? Any Cancers? Libras? Virgos? Sagittarius? Capricorns? Aquarius? Pisces? And the best sign, because I'm that sign, Scorpio! All right. Our next speaker is Seth Thompson. He is the Chief Diversity Officer at TC3. Let's give him a round of applause as he's come forward.
Fellow Scorpio introduction. All right. So thank you all for being here. My name is, again, Seth Thompson. I've been in this community. I've been welcomed into this community for a little over 16 years. And this is one of the most enjoying events I've been to in all that time. Even it includes a waterfall. So, good evening. The other day, I had a conversation with one of my daughters about Juneteenth and the pending Juneteenth event held here today. As we were wrapping up the conversation, she said, "You know, Dad, I love the 4th of July. It's an awesome holiday. But Juneteenth is what we should all be celebrating. I said, why is that? She said, that's when everybody was actually free. As a dad, you know, a girl dad at that, and educator, it was one of those moments, you know, it fills you. It fills you with joy because you know that the light bulb is on burning at 100 watts. And you know you shared a few words that actually matter. This is now truly my favorite event. I will never forget this. That's Tim Thompson again. He's the chair at C4. He took it for the team. Thank you. So, as Terrence mentioned, I work at TC3. I've had the opportunity to teach African American history, which is our history as a country. That said, today I'm choosing to share one of the most fitting and examined narratives students have selected over the years. It is an excerpt from an interview with a black man, Frank Bell, who was formerly enslaved. You can find the full interview and other narratives in the book When I Was a Slave, Narrative Memoirs collection. It begins, I was owned by Johnson Bell and born in New Orleans, Louisiana. According to the Bill of Sale, I'm 86 years old. And my master was a Frenchman and was a real mean man. He ran a saloon and kept bad women. I don't know nothing about my folks, if I even had any, except my mama. They told me that she was a bad woman, French Creole. See, I worked around my master's saloon, kept everything clean up, and all the nightly drinks that men and women came in to party. One time, some bad men came to my master's inn, and they started shooting up the place. 2 men got killed. I tried to run, but my master caught me. And he told me when he caught me, he would throw my ass into the lake, tied up in chains. The clothes that I was wearing were my master's old ones. They always had holes in them. Master stayed drunk nearly all the time. And he was mean. He was mean to all of his slaves. It actually didn't cost my master anything because he didn't even have a bill of sale, because that's what the lawman said, that he actually stole me. But they didn't mind because I was only a child. Master kept chains on me most of the time. I slept on the floor in a potato sack. I was afraid to run again because my master said he would kill me. When I was about 17 years old, I married. But in a drunken rage, my master ran her off, and he found her, and he slit her neck and threw her into the river. Then he put the chains over me and began whooping. And this is the part of the narrative that I want you to really key in on, if you haven't been keyed in already. When the war was won, we were supposed to be free. But my master said I was too valuable to him. He says, boy, I'll give you $1 every week. But he never did. He gave me about $1 every month. He said, you cost more to be around. For a long time, my master held me after the war was over. 3 years, actually. Until one night, my master and some men came into the saloon again, and they got into a fight. And my master was actually killed. So, that was the experience. As an educator, it is absolutely important to me to have there be an understanding of what we're actually celebrating here. That's one experience. There's a multitude of other experiences that people of African descent had to experience. This day is Juneteenth. It is also known as Jubilee Day. And it is a joyful, joyful time to be free, all of us together as one. As I said at the beginning, talking to my daughter, words matter, words guide us, words solidify our values, words provide us with vision, but it is the shared word that leaves an inheritance to change tomorrow for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Before I introduce our last speaker for the night, I wanted to make a quick announcement. If you came in on my left, there's a table where you can fill out for a raffle ticket for a $50 gift card. If you haven't done so, you have some time to do it, but just wanted to send a reminder for the $50 gift card. Right on the left, she's waving right over there. Okay. All right, so our next speaker before we close, she is the 4th president of Tompkins Cortland Community College with 2 decades of experience in higher education leadership. Dr. Montague is a member of the first intercollegiate African American sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And just a little quick shout out too, she's also from the West Indies, the Caribbean, Jamaica.
Good evening, everyone. So, let me show you. I had prepared remarks. Now, those of you who know me know, yeah, she's probably not going to do it, and I'm not. I'm going to speak to you from my heart and from deep in my soul. And I want to say thank you to everyone in this audience today. This work could have not been done alone. Recognition of Juneteenth could have not been done simply by African Americans. We as a people have to stand in solidarity for truth, justice, equality, and inclusiveness. I would also be remiss if I didn't point out that June is actually Pride Month. And so I want to recognize that as well, because that's all a part of our community. And I'm not going to take a lot of time today. You know, the motto from the Jamaica coat of arms is, out of many, one people. So as you look to your left and your right, behind you and forward, these are our neighbors. We're the ones who are going to make this change across this nation, across this globe. And for that, I thank you. My community thanks you. My staff, my faculty, my students thank you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, so that almost wraps up. I'm just going to ask that Regina Grantham come forward to give our closing remarks. Regina Grantham, if you can come forward with our closing remarks. And as she prepares herself to come, as often usual, a part of the culture is that we celebrate in dance or arts of some sort. So I asked the DJ that after the closing remarks, if we could play a couple of songs that we call line dancing, some songs, some music, some dances which celebrate the African American diaspora in unity. Y'all know about the electric slide? Y'all know about the wobble? You know about the cha-cha slide? So after she speaks, we're going to ask that those who are in the middle, if you could just move to the side and let us do our thing. All right.
Oh, this is really so exciting to be here. And I know you're saying, thank goodness this is the last one.
Okay, that's what I asked you. Okay, cool. This is good.
And you know you're in luck. My son, who was in Illinois, texted me this morning and said, Mom, make it sweet Make it short. This is not your opportunity to give a Martin Luther King speech. But I am very excited. I'm honored. I am filled with pride. And I am just so excited to see the Cortland community come together. Most of all, as everybody said, I am feeling gratitude. Gratitude for our forefathers. Gratitude for their allies, on whose backs we are standing. They have provided the platform for us to move forward. And that's why we are here. And prayer, as we have been talking a lot about, has been, for people of color, a spiritual weapon against racism. And prayer has also been a tool for which we fought for our rights. So I just have a tiny prayer that I'd like to share with you. I'm sort of a minister in training. I'm going for something that's called Education for Ministers. So I was watching the good Reverend. Eventually I'll get there, but I'm a novice. But this comes from my heart. Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity for us to come together, our Cortland community, to come together and celebrate this historic moment, this moment that ended slavery. And the fact that we come together to think about our future working together. May we continue to give dignity to all people, and may we continue to help, and in other ways help others who are healing or who need to be healed spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Bring all of us who are hurting to a place of healing and forgiveness. Give us the ability to listen. We want to listen and honor the stories of other cultures. Father, continue to lead us. Lead us in the work that we are doing together, us Cortland community, as we rebuild our way of thinking, being, saying, and doing. But most of all, guide us in our journey of honoring and serving all people. As Mark 13 says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So real quick, we're going to do a quick raffle.
Thank you, Regina.
Grab your ticket, grab your ticket. We're going to give you a second to grab your ticket. As we begin, I'm going to give y'all a second. Oh, I got to keep it funny. Did y'all have a good time?
All right, here we go. Get your tickets. Tickets ready? Ticket number 3938454. That should be Joseph Wood.
$50.
There we go.
Yeah, Joe. $50 right in front of you.
All right.
And with that being said, I need everybody to face the stage that's gonna dance, okay? Whether you're seated, whether you're standing, we're gonna get it. We're just gonna get right to it. Get the gift card from Lorraine. Somebody?
Come on, everybody, to the front and face the stage. If you know the dance,
come on, somebody gotta lead it. Okay, we got two girls. Okay, come on.
All the shorties in the club, let me see your chest. Back it up, drop it down, let me see your chest. Get low, scrub the ground, let me see your chest. Push it up, push it up.
Hey!
Baby wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, yeah. Baby wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, yeah. Wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, yeah. Wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, baby wobble, yeah.
it off, get off. Rattle shaking they booties like tango.
New Cupid. We gonna do one more Cuban shuffle.
Move down, do your dance, do your dance. We got a brand new day. Down, do your dance, do your dance. Down, do your dance, do your dance. Down, do your dance, do your dance. They say I'm a rapper, and I say no. And say what you ain't trying to do, somebody told. I just let the music come from my soul, so all of my people can stay on the floor. They got a brand new day. Brand new day, let's call it to the cell phone. It don't matter if you don't know. We gon' show you how to go. To the right, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. Rock it, now walk it by yourself. Now walk it by yourself. Down, do your best, do your best. Down, do your best, do your best.
Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.